there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which is one of my favorite tags. I do it every single year. But before we go ahead and get on into the prompts, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. Also, don't forget to check down in the description box for links to all of my social media, my Buddy Read Discord, and my Patreon, where you can be entered into winning book giveaways by me. Prompt number 1 is, what is the best book that you have read this year? I actually just did a video where I talked about my quarter 2 stats, and I did discuss my favorite books I've read so far this year and my least favorite books, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this book. I'll go ahead and link that video up in the cards. But my favorite book I've read so far this year is definitely Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is a sci-fi that was written in the 80s, and it's kind of like the Canterbury Tales in that there are different characters that all are telling their story about how they are linked to Hyperion, which is a planet that holds these time tombs, and there's this alien type species that protects these time tombs. I just found it really unique, really interesting, really engaging. All of the characters' tales were different, and I just loved how they all were interwoven with Hyperion in some shape or form. And then the cliffhanger of this book was really well done, and I can't wait to read the sequel. I do have a full spoiler-free review of this book, so I'll definitely link that up in the cards also if you're interested in checking it out. Prompt 2 is the best sequel that you've read this year, and I'm going to go with Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 and the final book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. This was definitely my favorite out of all 3 of the books. I felt like Robin Hobb just brought the story together in such a dynamic way. We got to learn more about the characters, especially Kenneth and his backstory and kind of why he was the way that he was. We delved more into the world, the lore, the magic, the dragons, and how they are essential to the plot, and I just felt like this book just went off with a bang. All of the character stories were wrapped up, not necessarily in a perfect way, but in a satisfying way, and it was definitely my favorite book of the trilogy. Prompt 3 is a 2021 release that you still need to get to, and I'm going to go with Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is an adult sci-fi, and it follows a character named Rylan who goes on this mission, and he wakes up to find that all of his crew are dead, and he is the only one alive to continue this mission to save humanity. But he does come across another sentient life form that attempts to help him. And I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I read The Martian by Andy Weir. I really enjoyed it. I did not read Artemis by him because it got such mixed reviews, but this one seems to be getting rave reviews, and I'm hoping that it has that Andy Weir humor that we found in The Martian, and I do want to get to this by the end of 2021, hopefully. Prompt 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the rest of the year? And I'm going to go with The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. This is a book that was on my most anticipated releases video, I think, for 2021. But Anthony Ryan is one of my favorite authors. I've read a handful of his books, and this is a new adult series by him, and I did pre-order it. It should be coming next month, so I'm very excited to have that, and I do plan on reading it very soon after I get it. Prompt 5 is the most disappointing book that you've read this year, and I'm going to have to go with These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is a YA fantasy Romeo and Juliet retelling with historical elements. It takes place in 1920s Shanghai, China, and there are 2 different warring gangs, and we have Juliet, who is in one gang, and Roma, who is in the other gang, and at one time they had a relationship. I say very loosely based on Romeo and Juliet. Very loosely based. I just didn't connect very much with the story. I did not connect with the characters at all. I did not connect with the setting, and I ended up rating it 1 star. Prompt 6 is your biggest surprise, and I'm going to go with To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. The reason is that I had heard so many mixed reviews about this book. It's a 900-page, dense adult sci-fi that the author had worked on for about a decade. But I ended up really, really liking this story. I found myself super engaged with the world. I found the world incredibly well crafted, and there is an element of alien life and kind of a symbiotic relationship between the alien life and the humans that I found really interesting and engaging, and it kept my interest. And I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm really excited to read anything else that he puts out in this universe. Prompt 7 is a new favorite author. This can be a debut author or an author that's new to you. And I'm going to go with Mark Lawrence. He writes adult grimdark fantasy. I read Prince of Thorns a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, and loved it. And I'm currently reading King of Thorns. I'm over halfway through and I'm loving it just as much. He's just expanding so much on this plot. But I really, really like how Mark Lawrence writes his characters. I really enjoy his prose. It's just dark and gritty, but there's just so much more to his stories than just the grimdark elements. So I'm really excited to finally finish this trilogy and then move on to his Red Queen's War trilogy. Question 8 is a new fictional crush. I don't really know if I have fictional crushes. I think that's kind of a silly question, but I guess if I had to choose anybody, I would choose Dara from the David Bad trilogy or City of Brass. He is a djinn, and he is just one of those characters that has a dark past and is trying to redeem himself. There is more to him than meets the eye. Plus, I mean, he's a freaking djinn. So I think if I had to choose anybody, I would choose Dara. When I read this book, he was definitely my favorite character out of all of the characters, and I'm interested to see how his role continues to develop in the rest of the books in the series. Prompt 9 is what is your new favorite character? And I'm going to have to go with Tomlis Senlin from the Books of Babel. I relate to Tomlis Senlin. He is a teacher at a school. He's very bookish. He's very quiet. He doesn't always like to step out of his comfort zone. But when something happens to someone he loves, he just goes all out and will do anything for that person. And I'm really interested to read about Senlin's transformation in the rest of the series. Maybe it might parallel my own, you never know, but I just related a lot to this character, so definitely one that I'm excited to read more from. Prompt 10 is a book that made you cry, and I can't say I've had any books this year that have made me cry. That is an extremely rare occurrence for a book to make me tear up, much less cry. Cry, it's happened one time. Tear up, it's happened a couple. So a book has to be pretty darn emotional and hit me right in the feels in order for me to cry. So nothing so far this year. Prompt 12 is what is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received this year? And I'm going to have to go with Guards by Terry Pratchett. This was gifted to me by Dominic from Dominish Books, so check out his channel. I just love it. I think it's beautiful. I love the hardback. I love the silver dragon on here with the city that's burning in the background. I love that it has a bookmark, and I just think it's beautiful. We have the back of the dragon here. I'm in love with this book. I love the covers that are printed like this. My copy of The Secret Garden is like this, and they're just beautiful versions. So if I buy any more Discworld books, I'm definitely going to be looking to get them in these versions because they're so pretty. And prompt 13 is what are some books that you need to read by the end of the year? There are a ton of books that I need to read by the end of the year, so I'm just going to mention one because I told myself in 2020 that I was going to read this book in 2021, and that is Dune by Frank Herbert. So this will technically be a reread for me, but I read this book when I was probably about 10 years ago, and I don't remember very much about it, and I really wanted to reread it before the movie came out so I could like watch the movie in a timely manner. But this is a 900-page book, and I keep putting the audiobook available, or I keep putting the audiobook on hold at my library. It keeps becoming available, but I'm like not ready to read it. So I might just have to buckle down in August or September and read this book, because when I first read it, I had difficulty getting into it because I wasn't really a sci-fi reader at this time. But like I said, it's been years ago and I've read a lot more sci-fi since, so I want to see my opinion and if it's changed since I originally read it. Okay, you guys, so that is it for the mid-year book freakout tag. Let me know in the comments if you've done this tag or some of the answers to some of these prompts, and I will see y'all soon in another video. Goodbye.